Hey guys, it's Dad. Sometimes I have to really ask myself, what the heck was I thinking? You know, with the coronavirus keeping Parker and I at home, we really can't travel at the moment. And with Parker attached to his new gaming PC 24/7, he'd much rather crank 90s and no-scope kids in Fortnite or build super smelters in Minecraft instead of doing Pokemon videos. By the way, if you haven't seen our video where I built him a kick-butt PC from parts I picked out especially for gaming, you should definitely check it out. I'll put the link above. With being stuck at home, I got the bright idea, to restore my old 1985 VW Scirocco. And that's been sitting at my parents' house for, the last 15 years.
What?
Okay, so if you've been watching our channel for any time, you know me as Parker's dad, and I've tried to capture our life together as he grows up. And you know what? They grow up pretty darn fast. We started shooting YouTube videos when Parker was 8 years old, and now he's 11. We've done experiments, we've imploded watermelons, we played with liquid metal to make fidget spinners, remember those things? And we blended things, a whole bunch of stuff. We've traveled around a bit, and for a while, Parker really got into Pokemon. If you got small kids or know somebody who does, send them over to watch our older videos. It's all family-friendly content, and we did some pretty cool stuff. So, you know what? I don't claim to be a mechanic, but I've grown up around motorcycles. I love motorcycles all since I was small. And in fact, I had a motorcycle license before I even had a driver's license. Heck, I've even been on a racetrack at 177 miles an hour. Yeah, 177 miles an hour. And when I got older, I started to work on the different motorcycles I had, oil changes, exhaust upgrades, ignition modifications, all that kind of stuff. In fact, my biggest project was a full-frame teardown and rebuild of a 1996 Ducati 900 Super Sport, including, you got it, the dreaded valve adjustment. If you are a Ducati person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you know what? Those are motorcycles, pretty simple stuff to work on. They don't take up a lot of space. As for motor vehicles, wow, I drove a 1966 GMC pickup with 3-speed and granny gear to high school. And let me tell you what, that was a real chick magnet. And I tell you what, if that truck was still around, I'd be restoring it too. And after I started college, my first car was a 1985 Volkswagen Scirocco, purchased new in July of 1986. It got me through 4 years of college in New Mexico and 5.5 years of graduate school in California. To be honest, I gotta say, that time in my life was a complete and absolute blur. But the Scirocco was there with me the entire time. After graduate school, the Scirocco was there when I got a job and started making a little bit of money and had enough to build my first house. Now, I don't have too many pictures that time, but after clocking a tad over 100,000 miles, my trusty Scirocco got replaced, by bigger and better toys, and it ultimately had to go because my garage couldn't hold my Jeep, my Corvette, and all the other toys, motorcycles. Now, I'm not sure if it was fate or destiny, but here's where my dad stepped in and offered to take the Scirocco off my hands. And gosh, to be honest, I think he intended to fix it up a bit and drive it as a fun car. But in reality, he never did, and it's been sitting at their house. So that's the backstory. A stock, one-owner car that's had routine maintenance and has been sitting idle for the last 15 years. So I guess the question is, am I restoring this car for Parker to drive, which is kind of my original thought, or as I think about it a little bit more, am I restoring it for me to relive a little bit of nostalgia? I can tell you that just sitting inside this car brings back a flood of memories. I mean, it was the 80s, for crying out loud. Yeah, Enough said. So, before we take a look at the car as it sits today, you might ask, what the heck is a Volkswagen Scirocco anyway? You really don't see a lot of them anymore. In fact, I looked around and I can't remember the last time I saw one on the road. And it never was nearly as popular as the VW Rabbit or Cabriolet. Remember those things? They were pretty cool. Well, the Scirocco is kind of a cult car. Either you loved it or you hated it. Okay, a little history. Volkswagen began work on the Scirocco in the early 1970s as a replacement for the aging Mk2 coupe. Those were pretty cool. The Mark I Scirocco, based on the popular VW Golf platform, debuted at the 1973 Geneva Motor Show and had a production run from 1974 to 1981, after which it underwent a heavy redesign. The new design, called the Mark II, had a production run from 1981 to 1992. The U.S. Scirocco sported either an 8-valve, 1.8-liter 4-cylinder fuel-injected engine, which pumped out an unimpressive 90 horsepower, or the more known and well sought-after 16-valve version, available mid-1986, that raised the horsepower to 137. You could always tell a 16-valve version because of its color-matched bumpers and its 16-valve badging. My car is a stock 1985 version with the 8-valve 90 horsepower engine. You know what? With a gross vehicle weight of just under 2,800 pounds, I've always found it to be quite responsive and nimble. I've never had a problem with it. And with a 5-speed manual transmission, it is just an awesome frickin' car to drive. Okay, note, for all the skinny jean, avocado toast eating, triple latte, non-fat, vegan, light foam millennials, manual transmission means you have to shift it yourself.
Ugh, as if!
Okay, so let's take a look at the car. I know it well. And as I take a closer look, it's kind of like meeting an old friend you haven't seen in years. There's that initial excitement of catching up, combined with a slow recognition that they still have all the same flaws and annoying tendencies you remembered from years ago. And I'm quickly realizing that this car is nowhere close to its former glory. In fact, it's pretty rough. So, let's start with a quick look at the exterior. Now, remember, it's been sitting in the desert sun for the past 15 years. Okay, it did occasionally have a car cover on here and there until they, finally disintegrated. So it's not surprising that the paint is severely faded and oxidized. Oh yeah, that bird crap right there probably doesn't help either. But I'm not too worried about paint. We can repaint it later, or maybe, what would be pretty cool is to wrap it sometime down the line. Wrapping would be pretty cool. The body is still in pretty good shape with no major dings or dent except for that front spoiler, which has a big dent in it from the time I ran over an empty 5-gallon paint can that flew out of the bed of a frickin' pickup truck in front of me while I was doing 85 miles an hour on the I-5 freeway in LA. Well, you know what? That's something I don't ever want to do again. Anyway, for all you Midwestern and East Coasters, there's also no apparent body rest anywhere. None. You know what? So eat my dust. Okay, moving on to the glass. It all looks good. There's no cracked or broken windows anywhere. And surprisingly, the rubber seals don't look bad either. The windshield wipers, well, you can see they appear to need some attention. The electric radio antenna is here, but the plastic seal is cracked around the base, and who knows if it actually still works. I remember replacing it at least once already. Also, let's see, not surprising, the body trim pieces, the bumper covers, and the rear spoiler are all badly faded, but seem to be intact with no major cracks. Those can all come back to life. Amazingly, the VW badges are all still here and in fair shape, with the exception of the Carmen tags on the base of the door pillars. Let's see, one is pretty faded and cracked, and the other one is completely missing. We'll see if we can find those. The car still has all the original 13-inch aluminum wheels that seem to be in pretty good shape, as I imagine you can see. The plastic lug nut covers all seem to have disintegrated over the years. I remember those just either becoming brittle or breaking. No worries, I'll probably put different wheels on later. And you can see the tires, yeah, well, they kind of appear to be holding some air, but they are in pretty bad shape too. We can fix that. Okay, so let's take a look inside. Yeah, here it's a pretty good story. You know, the interior, while sun faded on one side, is in pretty good shape. No tears in any of the seats, although they do show normal wear and tear. The carpet looks almost new. The dash is in pretty fair shape. Okay, all right, hidden under the dash mat, and it does have the typical VW cracks. I don't know what I'll do with that, but we'll see how it goes. The original Blaupunkt radio, remember those things? And cassette player, remember those things? Still here, and the gauges look pretty good. The shift knob and steering wheel both show normal wear on their leather wraps and have seen better days. Overall, it's not too bad. Yeah, there's a bird's nest of wiring hanging from the dash as I started to rip out the old Clifford aftermarket alarm system prior to shooting this video, and it's something I still need to sort out. So, let's take a look under the hood. Yeah? Looks like it's been sitting for a while. Everything is here, and of course I'll have to replace all the belts, hoses, plastic reservoirs, and everything else. But the engine bay looks just, you know, kind of like I thought it would. Not too bad, actually. There's no animals nesting in there. It's been in a city environment, and it's been dry. So, you know, I think it looks pretty good. We'll give it a good cleaning to really see what we're working with when we get it to my house. But, you know what? That's another video. Okay. Before we trailer it on over to my house, there's still a couple of things I want to do. One, I want to siphon out whatever gas might be left in the tank and get it properly disposed of. Two, I want to take a look at the state of the gas tank. You know, what's inside, what does it look like, although I'll probably just replace it anyway. And three, I just want to see what the piston heads look like. Okay, so here we are. Let's see, this thing's been sitting for about 15 years. 15 years, give or take. Hasn't been started in a long time. Not even sure if there's anything in the tank. So, got the siphon. Let's take a look and see if we even get anything out of the gas tank. Yeah, well, that's pretty dirty. All right, let's stick it in and see what happens. Okay, feels like it's all the way down. Let's try it.
A few moments later.
There's nothing coming out. There's no gas coming out. Okay. That didn't go very well.
I know.
There ain't nothing in there.
I know, nothing's coming out.
Alright, well, that was the first go around. I guess there's no gas in there.
I know.
Which means next thing I want to do is drop the tank.
Okay.
So after we get this thing moved, we'll come back. We'll see you. Okay, so I've got a Borescope, and we're going to go ahead and snake it on down the tank. What you're going to see here in the beginning is the little flap where the tube of the gas filler from the gas station will go. And as we snake it on down the filler tube down to the bottom of the tank, you'll see that I believe we've made it all the way down. You see the contour of the tank on the left-hand side, and there's no liquid in it at all. And that's pretty consistent with what we found with the siphon. When we pulled it back out, it was not covered with any liquid at all. So completely dry. Looks like there's some rust coating the outside of the inside of the gas tank. I'm going to go ahead and replace that. But as I go ahead and snake the Borescope back out, it looks like it's completely dry. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to do was just remove one of the spark plugs and take a look at one of the cylinders and see what the top of one of the pistons looks like. Just wondering, you know, what the piston head looks like, if there's any carbon deposits on it. So just simply remove one of the spark plugs. You see me snaking it down the hole. and the Borescope did all right. Let's see, what you see right there is the top of the piston head, and albeit it's one of the cylinders, but I don't seem to see any carbon deposits. And that's kind of interesting. That's a good thing to see. Again, it's only one cylinder, but we'll probably snake the rest of them when we get it back to my house. But that's what one of them looks like. Okay guys, so that's it. That's the story of my car, and I am super excited to get into this restoration. I don't know how long I'm going to go at it. I don't know how far I'm going to get, and I'm probably going to have many scraped knuckles and a couple curse words along the way, but I am super excited to get going with it. And it's not going to be just me turning the wrenches. I'm going to get Parker in here. I'm going to yank him in and make him learn about cars and how they work. So hopefully I'll learn something along the way. Parker will learn something along the way, and maybe you'll learn something along the way too. If not, you can sit back and laugh at my stupidity and things that I get wrong, because I'm sure I will get a lot wrong. I am anticipating maybe a dozen or so episodes along the line. First thing I need to do is get in and get it towed to my house, and then we'll kind of give it another once over, maybe clean it up a little bit. And I want to clean out the fuel system. So along the fuel system, I'm talking about brand new tank, all the fuel lines, the 2 fuel pumps, the filters, I've got new injectors, etc. After we take care of the fuel system, then I want to replace all the ignition parts. And yeah, I probably don't have to replace all of these parts, but if I'm going to go in, I'm going to do it right. So I'm going to replace all the ignition parts, the coil, the distributor, plugs, wires, all that sort of stuff. Next, once we get the engine running, and hopefully after the fuel system's cleaned out and we get new ignition parts in, we got to get some brakes on it. So right now it's got the 4-lug wheel hubs on it. I'm debating whether I want to go to 5-lug hubs just because it opens up wheel options, but for now let's get some new brakes on, some new rotors and discs up front, and take a look at those all the way around. Cooling system will probably be next, so replace all the rubber hoses. I'll probably go in and just put a new radiator in it because I don't know what the state of that radiator is, and probably do a water pump at the same time. Thermostat, just do the whole cooling system at once. Next, I want to get in there and take a look at a suspension upgrade. Maybe do some coilovers, combine with the coilovers, lower it down maybe an inch or so, bring it down to the ground a little bit. That'll be pretty cool. Then we'll take a look at the drive line, see if the transmission needs any work or maybe just a tune-up. AC, the car's got AC on it. Last I checked, the AC had a pinhole somewhere and there was no working AC, so work on the AC system. The interior would probably be following next. We'll take a look at what it takes to refresh the inside of that car. Then, once we're getting it running, it needs some new rubber, obviously. Then I'll figure out what I want to do with wheels. Stock wheels are okay, but if I'm going to lower it down, I'll probably put a lower profile piece of rubber on it and some decent wheels. Then it'll come down to the final steps of what to do with the exterior. Do I want to repaint? Do I want to do that wrap? I don't know. We'll take that as it comes if I get that far. I may run out of steam and just say, hey, I'm going to drive it as is for a while and get back to it. But who knows? It's a restoration. It's a project for me. Okay, so all I know is I got an awful lot of work ahead of me. I can't wait to get that car running, get back in it, shift it on down the road and have some fun. And oh, by the way, once I do, the old Cinderella cassette tape's going to go in too. If you're new to the channel and this stuff kind of interests you, you might want to at least come back and check us out to see how we're making progress. If you like what we're doing or you like our older stuff, maybe think about giving us a subscribe. If you like this video and the way I set it up, maybe give me a like. So let's get this started. See you next time.